Anybody else's hands, this is a microphone. In my hands, it's a pipe
too much can be done on this mic that I ain't doing better.
Pipe bombs, pipe bombs, pipe bombs. In anybody else's hands, this is a microphone. In my hands, it's a pipe bomb.
I represent the underdogs.
Pipe bombs, pipe bombs.
Alright, new set from Magic, my review, and I must say from beta testing that it's an interesting set to play. So we start off with Archangel's Light, a crap mythic that you do not want to open. Gain 2 life for each card into your graveyard and shuffle your graveyard into your library. Maybe a limited card. I don't know, I guess this is another good limited card. Bar the Door, instant, creatures you control get +0, +4. Break the Day, your first Fateful Hour card. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. If you have 6 or less life, those creatures are indestructible. I think that's the only defense that you have against Blasphemous Act and Liliana, that type of deal. If they are moving you into a white-green sort of super aggro combination. Burden of Guilt is a crappy pacifism. There's your first curse. Enchant player can cast more than one spell each turn. I guess that's okay. It might be fringe constructed, but that's as far as I could see it going. Elgard Inquisitor, I don't like this card, but I think I don't know, it's weird. It's a Mausoleum card, but it gives you, for the same mana, same power and toughness, you get lifelink, but you lose one of the 1/1 flyers. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest. You know, I just don't like it that much. So as we can see, we've got, you know, a lot of basically limited cards here. Faith's Shield is interesting. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice. So for once, we have a card that isn't protection from zombies or vampires or whatever. It's just a color. It's an actual card. Although, yeah, all it does is basically stop Brimstone Volley or Victim of Night. It's not really that great. Gather the Townsfolk. It's a crappy version of Midnight Haunting, basically. Gavinry Ironright. 1/4. Fateful Hour, as long as you have 5 or less life. I don't like Fateful Hour. I think it's stupid. So, let's see. Another Hollowhenge, the second. I like this card a lot, actually. 4 mana, 2/2, flying with flash, because there's a lot of flash cards in there. When Hollowhenge Spirit enters the battlefield, move target attacking or blocking creature from combat. I think that's a great card. Increasing Devotion, limited card, Fringe, ISD block, that's about it. Put 5 1/1 white human creature tokens, but I don't think there's anything in white that doesn't involve tokens. Lingering Souls I like a lot, actually, because my favorite kind of deck moving forward is going to be the Sora and Liliana token deck, black, white, green, and this fits nicely into that. Loyal Cathar and Unhallowed Cathar, our first double-sided card. A human that turns into a zombie when it's dead. I don't know. Limited, maybe? Midnight Guard, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, untap Midnight Guard. I think that's a pretty good card. For limited. You know, white definitely has some pretty interesting stuff. Niblis of the Mist, flying when it enters the battlefield, you may tap target creature. I think that's a great card for your white, green, white, red, white, black, whatever you're playing aggro deck. That's a fantastic card that could see some fringe, you know, some fringe constructed play. Then we've got Niblis of the Urn. Flying when it attacks, you may tap target creature. It's another great card for aggro. It stops those creatures with reach, those really big nasty ones. I like that card a lot, especially since it's a 1/1 spirit. It's fragile. I wish it was like 1/2 for 3 maybe, but the fact that you can tap down those flyers really just makes it really good. Destroy target enchantment with flashback, but I really just wish it was destroy target enchantment or artifact, because white really needs some sort of artifact destruction. Since there's a lot of cards that involve bringing back things from the graveyard with Grafdigger's Cage around. Okay, Requiem Angel, that's another limited card. Flying, whenever another non-spirit creature you control dies, put a 1/1 white spirit. It's a limited card. It's that simple. Sanctuary Cat. I'm not sure why there's a cat in this set. But, okay. It's a 1 mana 1/2. I'm not going to argue with a 1 mana 1/2, to be honest. But, Ray of Revelation, destroy target enchantment with flashback. It's okay. But that's just it. It's okay. You know, Seance, we have that. That's a crappy rare, I'll be honest. I mean, you get a creature, it gets to attack once, and then it's exiled. There you go. I just think it's one of those crappy cards that just has no purpose. You've got Silverclaw Griffin. This is definitely a limited card. It's a card that I think every white deck's going to have to run at least 2 of. 3/2 flying first strike Griffin. It's straight at M12. I'm surprised I didn't put it in M12, to be completely honest with you. And I go back to Seance. It would have been a lot better card had they given the creatures haste. But because they don't, you get like 1 attack out of them. So you really need creatures that are going to give you that really good special ability for that 1 turn for it to even work. And I just don't think that there are enough creatures with that ability for it to work. That's why I don't like the card, to be honest. Although it does have a very odd picture. I am really surprised that, you know, they didn't replace Silverclaw. But, Skillful Lunge, it's an instant, target creature is +2/+1 on first strike, so it's like a Vampiric Fury, but about 1,000 times better. Again, another limited aggro card. Sudden Disappearance seems like one of those cards that oh crap, my phone's going off. Sudden Disappearance seems like one of those cards that no one really quite understands how it works. I think it works with Undying, in that you exile all non-land permanents you control and then return the exiled cards to the battlefield on their own, whatever. So you get no counters on anything. You could use it to reset. It's just a card that's never going to get any play. I find it actually rather useless. Unless your opponent's running like 8 Claustrophobias and 4 Bonds of Faith and you're playing a black-green deck or whatever. We've come across our first card that I think is going to be worth something, and that's Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. I like this card a lot. That's not the card, but I like Thalia a lot. It's great for aggro. I think it's going to see constructed play. Thraben Doomslayer, I don't like the card, to be honest. I don't like it at all. I think Faithful Hour is stupid. And, I mean, basically it just pumps out 1/1 tokens. Thraben Heretic, I think, is going to see some constructed, at least block constructed play. I like this card a lot. 2 mana for a 2/2, which already makes it a limited card. And You know, it's a limited card, but it's exile a creature card from a graveyard. I don't think there's much better than that. I'm sorry for the sniffles. Now I'm gonna. I mean, so that's white. I see white as just weak, to be honest. Sorry about that. I don't like white in this set. I mean, there's a few cards in here that seem like they're gonna go straight into the blue-white Delver deck, but that's about it. Onto blue, which through beta testing, I found is extremely powerful. We've got Artful Dodge, target creature is unblockable this turn. It's got Flashback. I'm not a huge fan. If it was an instant, I'd like it, but it's not. So I don't really see a purpose for it. Beguiler of Wills. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of creatures you control. I think it's a crap mythic, to be honest. The only thing about it is if you're able to get it to work for one turn. You might be, because you gain control of the creatures and it doesn't say that you lose control of the creatures. So if you can get it out quickly in like a blue-green deck with aggro, with some tokens out on the board, you can gain control of some creatures and you don't lose control of them. Bone to Ash is pure crap. We were all hoping for a counterspell, and we got Bone to Ash. Counter target creature spell, draw a card. Not very happy about that. Call to Kindred. I'm not even going to read that because it doesn't actually make sense. I've tried playing with this in the beta. Beta. Gotta get that cough fixed. I'm just not a huge fan of enchant creatures. You know, equipment's one thing. Now, here we've got Chant of the Skiff's Fang. Enchanted creature gets -13, -0. That's still a little overkill, don't you think? And Chill of the Foreboding. I've actually... they don't have a picture. That's sad. Chill of Foreboding, which is a sorcery target. Each player puts top 5 cards as their library in his or her graveyard. In Limited, that card's very strong. And that's just from beta testing. I mean, its flashback cost is easy enough to get to, but, you know, it's a good card. Counterlash, I hate. I think this is probably one of the worst cards ever made. We were all hoping for just a relatively good counterspell, and instead we get Counterlash, which counter target spell. You may cast a card from your hand that shares a card type with that spell without paying its mana cost. What? It's a way of getting around Grafdigger's Cage? I think it's useless. Whatever. I'm very angry that those are the counterspells that we got, because it hasn't really added to the blue archetype. I think that's what you kids call it. And that's a rare, too. Imagine opening that as a rare. I would be very angry. It's like opening up Nevermore. Another curse. Whenever enchanted player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each player may choose the new targets. Witchbane Orb. I don't like curses. I'll never like curses. Divination. I don't know why they reprinted Divination when they just put it out in M12. 4 mana, 3/3 Dungeon Geist flying. When it enters the battlefield, tap a creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't then tap as long as you control Dungeon Geist. That's a 4 mana, 3/3 tapper. I love that card. I think that card is, you know, one of the better cards in the set. In Limited and maybe Unlimited, but I don't know. We come across our first zombie in Geralf's Mind Crusher. When it enters the battlefield, target player puts top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, and it's got Undying for 6 mana. This card is insane. And then Griptide is like Grasp of Phantasms, but doesn't have the flashback. I like it a lot because it's an instant, which means that it's a common too. So I mean that's gonna be a staple in blue. Havengold Runebinder, I'm a little confused as to how this is gonna fit. Exile a creature card from a graveyard, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, and put a 1/1 counter on it. You know, the problem is they already have a card like this called Cemetery Reaper. Headless Scab is one of the best cards in Limited. It will be. Blue is obviously one of the best in Limited. Increasing Confusion, you guys all know what that is. That's fairly strong card. I think that you can actually mill out your opponent in one turn with that, in a couple turns actually with that card. Mystic Retrieval, I don't know, another Burning Vengeance card. You'll notice that a lot of the cards in blue and red are made for Burning Vengeance. We got a 2/3 flyer with Flash for 4, which I really like. I think that that's another great underrated card in the set. Niblis of the Breath is a 2/1 spirit with flying. You may tap or untap target creature. I'm sure someone's gonna figure out something badass to do with that. I'm not too worried. But that's definitely a good another great limited card. Relentless Scabs. If you can get your hands on these are better than Headless Scab, and it's just an uncommon. If you can get Relentless Scabs in the deck, you game over. As an additional cost to it, exile a creature card, and then it's got Undying? Are you kidding me? Saving Grasp, return a creature card you own to your hand, and it's got Flashback of White. Screeching Scab, when put top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. I like that card. I think it's kind of cool. It's a simple 2/1, and it gets the whole self-mill effect going. Secrets of the Dead, whenever you cast a spell from a graveyard, draw a card, blah blah blah. That's a limited card because in order to play it in in a constructed format, you would have to be playing some form of artifact destruction. Shriekgeist, another Geist. When it deals combat damage to a player, the player puts the top 2 cards of his library into his or her graveyard. And that right there is the double face card of blue. I think it sucks. For 5 mana, you're getting a 1/3. That turns into a mind control. I think that card is terrible, to be honest. I mean, it's very, very weak at 1/3. It's 5 mana. And what's to say by the 5th turn they won't be able to just block it with a Chapelgeist, you know? It's one of those cards that you just kind of wish was better than it really is, but it just never will be. Lastly, we've got a 2/2 spirit that can only block creatures flying with Undying. I think it's one of the best limited cards. Again, like I said, blue is the strongest in terms of limited. Thought Scour, target player puts top 2 cards of their library into his graveyard, get to draw a card. Whatever. It's got an interesting picture. It looks kind of like Lobotomy, but it's an instant, so it allows you to draw a card, which is always nice. And Towergeist, when I look at the top 2 cards, put one of them in your hand, the other into your graveyard. 4 mana, 2/2 flyer, and it allows you to look at the top 2 cards, put one in your hand, one in the graveyard. That's okay.